Longtime neighbors, once bound by ancient empires and cultural kinship, Thailand and Cambodia now find themselves gripped by the harsh reality of a modern armed conflict that has stunned Southeast Asia and drawn the concern of the international community. What began as a simmering border dispute over temple grounds and national pride has erupted into a full-fledged war, threatening regional stability, civilian lives, and centuries of cultural heritage. To understand the gravity of the current war, it is necessary to revisit the historical context. The tensions between Thailand and Cambodia are rooted in overlapping histories and contested narratives that date back hundreds of years. The Khmer Empire, which flourished from the 9th to the 15th century and was centered in what is now Cambodia, once extended its influence deep into what is now Thai territory. After the decline of Angkor Thai kingdoms like Sukhothai and later Ayutthaya rose to power, occasionally clashing with and even ruling parts of Cambodia. During the colonial period, France, which controlled redrew borders without clear ethnic or historical considerations. As a result, some territories that were once Khmer ended up under Thai control, and vice versa. One of the most symbolic flashpoints of the dispute is the Priya Vihar Temple, an 11th-century Hindu temple dedicated to Shiva, perched on a cliff along the Cambodia-Thailand border. In 1962, the International Court of Justice ruled in favor of Cambodia, stating that the temple belonged to them. However, the surrounding land remained contentious. The ruling failed to establish a clear boundary demarcation, which has remained a point of contention for decades. Tensions resurfaced in 2008 when UNESCO designated Priya Vihar as a World Heritage Site under Cambodian sovereignty. Thailand objected, arguing that parts of the surrounding land were still disputed. Nationalist sentiments flared on both sides, and military buildups began along the border. Although sporadic skirmishes occurred over the years, especially between 2008 and 2011, the recent escalation has surpassed previous clashes in scale and intensity. The most recent war officially began in early 2025, when Thai military forces accused Cambodian troops of building fortifications and roads near the disputed territory. Cambodia, in turn, accused Thailand of launching drone surveillance operations and violating its airspace. When a Thai patrol reportedly crossed into Cambodian claimed territory in April 2025, triggering a deadly exchange of fire. Both governments declared states of emergency. Within days, artillery strikes, drone attacks, and tank movements had turned the border zone into an active war zone. The fighting has not remained confined to the immediate border. Strikes have occurred in key infrastructure areas, including bridges, energy facilities, and rural towns along the provinces of Sorin and Bantimi. Thousands of civilians have fled their homes on both sides, with refugee camps now overflowing. International organizations have issued urgent appeals for humanitarian assistance. UNESCO and ASEAN have raised concerns over the possible destruction of heritage sites, particularly Priya Vihar and other nearby temples, as artillery fire has already caused partial damage to some ancient structures. The war is being fought with a mix of conventional weapons and modern technologies. Thailand, with its more advanced military equipment and larger economy, has relied heavily on air superiority and drone strikes. Cambodia, while less equipped, has leveraged guerrilla-style tactics, fortified terrain, and support from local militias. Clashes have occurred not only in daylight, but also in night raids and coordinated ambushes. Casualties are mounting, with official figures from both governments likely underreporting the toll. Independent observers estimate over 2,000 combined deaths and injuries as of July 2025. The economic consequences are rapidly compounding. Trade between the two countries, valued at over $10 billion annually before the war, has virtually collapsed. Border checkpoints have been closed, agricultural exports halted, and joint infrastructure projects suspended. Tourism, a major revenue source for both nations, has plummeted. International investors are fleeing the region due to uncertainty and security risks. In rural border communities, families who once traded goods and food across the invisible line are now divided by gunfire and nationalism. Diplomatic efforts have so far failed to bring about a ceasefire. Initial talks mediated by ASEAN in Jakarta broke down when neither side agreed to withdraw troops from contested areas. While Thailand has demanded that Cambodia dismantle its border fortifications, Cambodia insists that Thai forces must retreat first. The United Nations Security Council has held emergency sessions, but resolutions have been blocked by veto-wielding powers with competing strategic interests in Southeast Asia. China, which holds strong economic and political ties with both countries, has called for restraint but stopped short of direct intervention. The United States, a key ally of Thailand and a major donor to Cambodia, has urged both parties to negotiate but has refrained from taking sides. On the ground, the war has also become a battle for hearts and minds. Both governments have unleashed waves of nationalistic propaganda, rallying public support through television, social media, and official speeches. Thai officials frame the conflict as a defense of sovereignty and heritage, while Cambodian leaders portray it as a resistance against historical injustice. This rhetoric has deepened mistrust and hostility among civilians. In some areas, reports of discrimination, looting, and violence against minorities and migrants have surfaced. Human rights organizations are raising alarms over potential violations. There have been credible reports of civilian casualties from aerial bombardments, forced displacement, and destruction of homes. Children have been among the victims, with schools turned into evacuation shelters or military outposts. Humanitarian corridors have been difficult to establish due to continued shelling and mutual distrust between forces. The Red Cross and SANS have requested safe passage for medical teams, but convoys have been attacked or denied entry. Beyond the immediate humanitarian crisis, the war is triggering ripple effects across Southeast Asia. Neighboring Laos and Vietnam have increased military patrols along their own borders. The Mekong River Commission has warned that fighting near shared waterways could disrupt access to drinking water and irrigation for millions. Trade routes through the region are being rerouted or delayed, leading to higher prices and supply chain disruptions. ASEAN's credibility as a peacebuilding institution is being tested, as member states struggle to respond decisively. The conflict has also sparked a wider debate over borders and historical memory in post-colonial Asia. The failure to reconcile historical grievances, particularly those tied to colonial-era boundaries and ancient monuments, has exposed the fragility of modern nation-states in the region. The war between Thailand and Cambodia is not only about land, it is about identity, history, and the enduring power of collective memory. As the war drags on, calls for peace are growing louder. Religious leaders, artists, and scholars from both countries have appealed for dialogue, citing the deep cultural ties that once bound Thais and Cambodians together. Cross-border marriages, shared languages, and intertwined histories remind many that the present conflict is a tragic rupture of a relationship that has endured centuries. Civil society organizations have begun organizing virtual peace forums, youth campaigns, and joint humanitarian initiatives, despite the dangers. Still, peace remains elusive. Without political will, credible mediation, and the de-escalation of military operations, the war could continue for months or even years. The cost will not only be counted in territory and diplomacy, but in human suffering, cultural loss, and the erosion of trust between nations that share more than just a border. The world watches, hoping that reason will prevail before ancient neighbors destroy each other beyond repair.